It is really easy to be happy in this world.
Yes, I have been married 3 times, and I just proposed again, and I am happy.
Rick Harrison stunned fans when he married in a small Las Vegas ceremony led by an Elvis impersonator. At first, it sounded like another fun Vegas wedding, but the real story is far more emotional than anyone expected. Behind the smiles was a man who had survived heartbreaking family losses, years of grief, and moments that almost changed his life forever. His journey to that wedding was filled with pain, hope, and a second chance at happiness. So why did this simple ceremony touch so many people? And what heartbreaking story was hiding behind Rick Harrison's wedding day? Join us to find out. The tragic loss. Before we talk about the heartbreaking loss that changed Rick Harrison's life, it helps to understand the man himself. Many people know him as the calm voice behind the counter on Pawn Stars, but there is much more to his story. He was never just a television personality. Long before cameras arrived, Rick had already built a strong reputation through years of hard work, patience, and deep knowledge. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop opened on Las Vegas Boulevard years before it became famous. Rick worked alongside his father, Richard Harrison, who fans lovingly called the Old Man. Later, Rick's son, Corey, joined the family business. Together, they turned a small pawn shop into a place known for buying and selling almost anything with value. Every day brought something different. One customer might walk in with an old coin, while another carried a rare sword, a vintage watch, or a piece of movie history. Rick quickly became known as the expert. He had an amazing ability to look at an old item and understand its history and value almost immediately. Years of studying history and collectibles gave him knowledge that few people could match. Customers often arrived hoping they had found a treasure, and Rick carefully decided whether it was worth a small amount or a fortune. When Pawn Stars first premiered on the History Channel in July of 2009, almost nobody believed it would become a success. Even the people making the show were unsure. Rick later admitted that many thought a television series about a pawn shop would disappear after only 1 season. Instead, the opposite happened. The show became one of the biggest surprise hits on television. Season after season, viewers kept coming back. As the years passed, the series grew to nearly 700 episodes, becoming one of the longest-running reality shows on television. Fans from around the world visited Las Vegas, hoping to step inside the famous shop they had watched for years. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop became one of the city's best-known attractions, standing beside the bright lights and famous casinos that already made Las Vegas unforgettable. Everything seemed to be going well, but life can change without warning. On January 19, 2024, Rick Harrison faced the greatest heartbreak any parent could imagine. His son, Adam Harrison, was found unresponsive in the guest house where he had been living in Las Vegas. He was 39 years old. Sadly, there was nothing anyone could do to save him. The Clark County coroner later confirmed that Adam died from the effects of toxic substances, and his death was officially ruled accidental. Unlike his older brother Corey, Adam stayed away from television. While Corey became a familiar face on Pawn Stars, Adam preferred a private life behind the scenes and never sought public attention. For years, Adam struggled with addiction. Rick never stopped trying to help him. He stood beside his son through difficult times, hoping each attempt at recovery would finally bring lasting change. During an emotional interview released in 2025, Rick spoke openly about those painful years. He admitted that he thought about Adam every single day. He explained that his son had entered rehabilitation many times. Each time brought hope. Each time, it seemed life was finally moving in the right direction. But the progress never lasted, and the struggle always returned. Rick also revealed that Adam believed he was taking one substance, but it reportedly contained something far more dangerous and unexpected. Many people are unaware of what they have actually been given until it is too late, making situations like this especially tragic. That heartbreaking reality has taken countless lives, leaving families with questions that can never truly be answered. Like many parents who lose a child, Rick found himself replaying every memory. He wondered if there was something more he could have done. He questioned every decision, every conversation, and every chance he had to help. Those thoughts stayed with him, just as they do for so many grieving parents. Rick had already overcome many challenges during his life. He built a successful business through determination and hard work. He adjusted to unexpected fame after the television show became a hit. Yet none of those experiences prepared him for losing his son. When the news became public, Rick shared a short message on social media. He wrote that Adam would always remain in his heart and that he loved him. Those simple words carried the weight of unimaginable grief. Even while carrying that pain, Rick eventually returned to work. He stepped back behind the counter where millions of viewers had watched him for years. Customers still arrived with old medals, rare collectibles, vintage jewelry, and baseball cards. And Rick continued doing the job he had always loved. But life finds its way back. How? Let's dive in. A new chapter of hope. After one of the darkest moments of his life, Rick Harrison slowly found something he never expected. While still carrying the pain of losing his son, he met someone who brought light back into his world. It happened during the early months of 2024. The details of their first meeting have remained private, and both chose to keep that part of their story to themselves. Rick went public with the relationship in June 2024, sharing a photo of himself and his new partner during a dinner near the Eiffel Tower in Paris. He later revealed they had been together for about 6 months. He also shared that she was a registered nurse living and working in Las Vegas. Her name was Agraina Palashkin, though friends and family called her Angie. Coming into his life after the heartbreaking loss of his son, Angie brought compassion, comfort, and support when Rick needed it most. She also loved to travel. Her social media shared memories from places such as Austria, Dubai, Canada, and other beautiful parts of Europe. She enjoyed exploring new places and creating unforgettable experiences. She had built a full and independent life long before meeting Rick, and she remained true to herself throughout their relationship. As their bond grew stronger, the couple celebrated special moments together. During the summer of 2024, they spent time in Europe celebrating Angie's birthday. The photo Rick shared from Paris showed a peaceful and happy moment. After months filled with sadness, it was a welcome reminder that joy could still find its way into a broken heart. Less than a year later, their relationship reached another unforgettable milestone. In March 2025, Rick proposed to Angie while they were visiting a vineyard in Casablanca, Chile. The proposal marked the beginning of an exciting new chapter for both of them. The engagement ring carried special meaning. Rick personally selected a beautiful 6.5-carat pear-shaped diamond from the gold and silver pawn shop. After spending so many years surrounded by valuable treasures, he chose one that represented the person he treasured most. Angie happily accepted his proposal, and together they looked forward to building a future. Angie, whose full name is Agraina Palashkin, was 42 years old. She had built a successful career as a registered nurse in Las Vegas while continuing to enjoy traveling around the world. Friends described her as hardworking, confident, and adventurous. She believed in making the most of life and embracing new experiences wherever they appeared. Before marrying Rick, Angie had never been married. When she chose to spend her life with him, she understood everything he had been through. She knew about the painful loss of his son. She knew about the difficult times his family had faced. She understood that Rick carried deep emotional scars, yet she accepted him completely. Not everyone is willing to walk beside someone carrying that much grief. Many people feel unsure about how to support a person living with such heavy loss. Angie chose differently. Rather than stepping away, she stayed close, offering understanding and care during one of the hardest periods of Rick's life. Rick appreciated that deeply. During an interview, he explained that because this would be Angie's first marriage, he wanted the wedding to reflect her dreams. Instead of taking charge, he allowed her to make the important decisions. She selected the famous Little White Chapel in Las Vegas chose an Elvis impersonator for the ceremony and created a celebration that perfectly matched the fun spirit of the city where their love story began. But life still had some more tests to pass on. Stick around. The heartbreak that broke Rick Harrison. By the end of 2025, Rick Harrison faced another heartbreaking loss. Just when it seemed life was beginning to bring him hope again, tragedy returned. On November 5th, 2025, Rick's mother, Joanne Harrison, passed away at a hospital in Las Vegas. She was 85 years old. The news was confirmed by Rick's representative, Laura Herlovich. Rick chose not to make a public statement, deciding instead to keep his family's grief private during such a painful time. Joanne had been an important part of the Harrison family. She had watched her son grow from a hard-working young man into the owner of one of the most famous pawn shops in America. She was there long before the television cameras, before the success, and before millions of people came to know the Harrison name. Her passing carried a deep emotional weight. Rick had already experienced the loss of his father, Richard Harrison, the beloved old man from Pawn Stars. His father's death had deeply affected both the family and the show's loyal fans. Richard had been more than a business partner. He was a father, a mentor, and one of the most unforgettable faces of the series. Now, with Joanne gone, Rick had lost both of his parents. That kind of loss is difficult to describe. Losing the last parent means saying goodbye to the final person who knew your entire journey from the very beginning. It is the end of a lifelong connection to childhood, family memories, and the people who helped shape who you became. The timing made the pain even heavier. Less than 2 years earlier, Rick had lost his son, Adam. That heartbreaking tragedy was still fresh in his heart when he had to face another family goodbye. As 2025 came to an end, Rick was carrying more grief than most people have experienced in many decades. Within about 7 years, he had lost his father, his son, and then his mother. Each loss left a space that could never truly be filled. Together, they created an emotional burden that would test anyone's strength. Many people would have stepped away from everything. They might have delayed future plans and taken more time to mourn. Few would have blamed them, but Rick kept moving forward. He didn't let it break him. A simple wedding that meant everything. On January 3rd, 2026, Rick Harrison and Angie Palashkin began a brand new chapter together. Their wedding took place at the famous Little White Wedding Chapel in Las Vegas, the city where Rick had built both his business and his life. The chapel has welcomed countless couples over the years and is known for its unique mix of fun, tradition, and romance. Their ceremony reflected the spirit of Las Vegas. Standing at the front was an Elvis Presley impersonator who officiated the wedding as Rick and Angie exchanged their vows. It was simple, joyful, and full of personality, making the day unforgettable for everyone who attended. The ceremony was kept small and personal. Rick's granddaughter, Elizabeth Harrison, was the only family member in attendance, while his son, Corey, was living in Mexico and could not make it. His longtime friend and Pawn Stars co-star, Austin "Chumley" Russell, was also absent. Rather than hosting a large celebrity event, the couple focused on their commitment to each other. Rick stayed out of the wedding planning, letting Angie choose every detail since it was her first marriage, and he wanted her dream wedding to become reality. He even joked that before meeting Angie, he often asked his daughters for help choosing clothes because he was never confident about matching outfits. With that in mind, he knew the wedding plans were better left in Angie's hands. His light-hearted story made many people smile and showed another side of the man usually known for serious negotiations. Although Rick is famous for staying calm and showing very little emotion, this day was different. During the ceremony, he admitted that he became emotional. For a man who had spent years hiding his feelings behind a steady expression, it was a touching moment that reflected just how much the day meant to him. After the ceremony, the celebration continued at Rick's Rollin' Smoke Barbecue and Tavern, located near the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop. Instead of holding a large reception in an expensive ballroom, the newlyweds chose a place that had personal meaning. family and close friends gathered to enjoy good food, warm conversations, and a joyful celebration. Following the wedding, Rick and Angie shared how excited they were to begin their lives as husband and wife. Later that month, they planned another celebration in Cancun, Mexico, giving more friends and family the chance to celebrate with them. After years filled with heartbreak and loss, their wedding marked the beginning of a happier chapter, proving that hope and love can still bloom even after life's hardest seasons. But there's a skeleton on his cupboard, a question many want answers to. Stay with us. Why Rick Harrison chose love again. Rick Harrison's marriage to Angie marked his 5th time saying yes to love. Over the years, his life has included different relationships, each becoming part of his personal journey. His first marriage brought the birth of his sons, Corey and Adam. His second marriage welcomed his son, Jake. Later, in 2013, he married Deanna Bird, but their marriage ended peacefully in 2020 after 7 years together. Even after their divorce, Rick spoke kindly about that chapter of his life. He said he was thankful for the 3 daughters he gained through Deanna's family. It showed that, although some relationships end, the people and memories can still remain meaningful. So, when news spread on January 3, 2026, that Rick had married again, many people reacted with surprise. Some smiled, others questioned his decision, and many wondered why someone would choose marriage for a 5th time. But those reactions missed the bigger story. Rick was not trying to prove anything to anyone. He simply chose to believe in love again. He proposed with a beautiful ring from his own pawn shop, asked Angie to marry him during a trip to Chile, and stood beside her at the altar with hope for the future. When asked why he decided to marry again at 60 years old, Rick gave a simple answer. He felt healthy, looked forward to the future, and saw no reason to stop living life with joy. He understood that happiness is not measured by wealth, fame, or success. It comes from sharing life with someone who brings peace, comfort, and love. So, what does this mean for the pawn shop? Let's find out. A new chapter for Pawn Stars. As 2025 came to an end, many fans wondered what the future held for Pawn Stars. After season 23, the series went on a break, and there was no official date for new episodes. Even Corey Harrison said he had not heard any news about when filming would begin again. That left many viewers unsure if the popular show would return. The uncertainty did not last forever. In January 2026, Rick Harrison confirmed that Pawn Stars was coming back. He announced that 10 new episodes were on the way, continuing the show into season 24. It was welcome news for longtime fans who had followed the series for many years. Looking back, the show's success is remarkable. When it first premiered in 2009, very few people believed a television series about a pawn shop could survive beyond its first season. Instead, it continued to grow into one of the most successful reality shows on television, reaching nearly 700 episodes and entertaining viewers for almost 17 years. Rick admitted that the journey still feels unbelievable. After all this time, he remains grateful that the show continues to connect with audiences around the world. The Pawn Stars brand has also continued to grow. Rick and Chumley now host the Pawn After Dark podcast, recorded inside the famous gold and silver pawn shop. At the same time, Corey has started developing his own project while living in Mexico. Together, these new ventures show that the Pawn Stars family is expanding beyond the television series. With a new season ahead and a happy new chapter in Rick's personal life, many fans are excited to see what comes next. After years filled with both success and heartbreak, he appears ready to move forward with renewed energy. That fresh outlook could bring a warm and positive feeling to the upcoming episodes, making season 24 another memorable chapter in the long story of Pawn Stars. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.